I mean, think about it. We really bleed into the rooms that we're in. I
Sure.
mean, our
Yeah.
dust is our bodies. Like we're
Yeah.
breathing, we live in these rooms. And you can walk into it, some people can, but they walk into a space and you're like, whoa, something bad happened here. Like you can just tell the air is thick. Someone had an argument, something bad happened.
All right. Hey, it's your boy Dustin from the Flying Chairs, The Rise podcast. And I got a special guest today, a local girl here in Madison, Wisconsin, KJ Beth. And yeah, this girl is fucking dope. She does these ghost walks here in Madison. And I was mind blown. I was not realizing how much haunted shit is here in town. So I was like, holy fuck. I know a few places, but she knows a lot more than I do. So I'm actually excited to dive deep into that. But yo, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you grew up exactly. If it was here in Madison, if it was outside of town or whatever it was. But yeah, tell us about yourself and how you got into the paranormal.
Oh my gosh. Hi. Well, how much time do I have? No, my name is Kjersti. I go by KJ, and I grew up in Reedsburg, Wisconsin, and it's about an hour north of here. And small town. I went to school in La Crosse and I studied psychology and English. And then I moved down to Madison. It was 18 years ago already. I've been here in Madison since 2006. So I've just always been into the paranormal. It never was an option not to be. We just, I grew up talking about just weird stuff in my family. We just had, nothing was off limits. We got books from the library, and I just always loved just like the scary stories to tell in the dark. Remember those books from like the 90s that were terrifying?
Oh, yeah.
Those just wrecked me more than anything. And I'm glad they did. And so I've just always been into this stuff. I was raised in an environment that it was okay to question things.
Sure.
And so it's just so normal to me to be into the stuff that other people aren't, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Sure.
And not be afraid of that, and not be afraid to be, I don't know, oh, that's weird. That's taboo. Okay, well, then you're not my friend. Sorry.
Yes. And
No.
it helps to have family that is open-minded too. And
Oh,
like again, like same dilly. I was like going to the library, like checking out the ghost books and like the UFO books, just being blown away by the pictures and stuff and like what people have caught or like other devices people use and tools that how to catch ghosts and stuff. It's really cool because I was into Ghostbusters back in the day, like who wasn't? I'm pretty sure you were, you know. Yeah, so what have you had like any personal experience that like yourself that like before you even like maybe like younger or something even drawing you closer to the paranormal, like hey, there's something here, like because we're all adults now, because we're as kids we think about this stuff, and now again it kind of resonates as adults now. It's like what, so yeah.
one of my earliest paranormal experiences that I can remember was I was really close to my grandmother. And when she had passed away, I was like maybe 11 years old. And it was just a hard time because it's 11. You're going through puberty. It's just like a bad age, just altogether. And it was just a rough time. And she had actually, I've written about this and spoke about it actually a couple times. She actually visited me and would turn a light on in my living room. It was a lamp that belonged to her. And I didn't actually see her, but I experienced her. There was like it's like a staticky presence. It was just this, this is how I explain ghosts to people that have never experienced them. You know how when you're looking at like hot pavement or like a grill on a hot summer day and everything's kind of just distorted?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. There was this distortion next to the light. And this happened consistently. This wasn't a one-time thing. I would be in the living room watching TV or something, and that light would come on. And I go, Grandma? I
Mm-hmm.
just knew. I knew it was her. And the light got brighter. And I was like, hi, Grandma. And the light got brighter. And so after a few times of this happening, I was like, I'm going to go over there. And I walked over to the light. See, the paranormal, as a side, it wasn't scary to me. It wasn't traumatic. I wasn't scared. I was like, it's just Grandma. And I asked my mom about it and she's like, oh yeah, grandma. She makes her presence known. And I was like, well, that's cool. So you're experiencing that too. So just like weird little electrical things would happen in our house a few months after. And it was just neat to me and it wasn't scary. And I touched that form and it was like static that comes off of an old tube television. If you've ever did that when you were a kid, very few people, like maybe our age, understand that point of reference, like touching static on a TV. You know what I mean?
I thought it was amazing, actually. I was like, whoa.
I was like, that's
Yeah.
exactly what it feels like. And it's
Mhm.
cold. And it's cold and it's staticky, but I just felt this love. And of course, at 11, I didn't have the language to express that. I didn't have the knowledge. I just couldn't, I just felt love. And I was never scared. And that to me, that kind of just sparked that, okay, this is real. This can happen. And I didn't really say I would pursue it. I mean, I was 11, but I think as I aged and I was just so open to that and
Sure.
hearing other people's stories. And,
Sure.
I think 2020, the great stay-at-home order and pandemic of 2020 kind of made me go back down that rabbit hole because there was nothing else to do other than just like binge some ghost adventures or like, oh, I'm gonna watch some ancient aliens. Like I just thought I'm gonna get back in to this thing that I loved as a kid but I couldn't articulate. And I think, to answer your question, that kind of sparked
Yeah.
that re-interest in studying that phenomenon. I'm like, do other people, how do they experience that? And I'm more interested in like the psychology of how people experience and comment on their weird experiences.
Sure.
In addition to the phenomenon in and of itself, I want to understand how you perceive it and what you think it means.
Again, that's like, I think we're all on this quest of like what happens after death. Like it is a big mystery, and like we only hope for the best because like hell does not sound fun. And I'm not like a hardcore believer in religion. So again, for those who do, again, it's terrifying. These thoughts of, or again, with me and you, we just have this quest of trying to find these answers to all these mysteries and
And
what
it's not
happens
so much
after
that
death.
was weird and I'm afraid of it. It's
No,
that weird and
no,
I'm intrigued by it. I'm curious about it. It doesn't
sure.
scare me, it intrigues me. And maybe that's just because I'm wired differently or I was never raised to be told it was scary. Like scary wasn't an option. It was grandma, you know.
And the fact that you had your own personal experience, like I never had my own personal experience with ghosts. I wish I would, but my dad actually had one, and he convinced me. Like he was pretty convinced. He was a kid in Milwaukee with his cousin at the house, and he was about maybe 8 or 9, and they were waiting to hear back from the hospital with their grandfather dying. So they get a phone call from grandma saying, "Yeah, grandpa passed, and we're gonna be home soon." And right when he hung up the phone, him and his cousin straight up here banging of the hammer in the workshop down in the basement where his grandfather used to work, and like sawing, like straight up enough for they ran to the room screaming and crying until the adults got home. Like there's like grandpa came here and started fucking with them.
He's already
Fucking
back.
with it. So again, it's almost like I heard too, like when death happens too, these people just come back to like they don't even know they're dead, and they come back to these old hobbies that they have. They just kind of show up to where the places they felt more connected. Maybe it was his workshop. You know what I'm saying? Like enough to like really impact my dad to have that memory, and he can bring up that story all the time. It's just kind of funny. Just
And that would be scary too.
yeah.
I
Yeah. And not saying that his grandfather was meant to hurt him or anything, but just this maybe like, why does souls stick around? You make you wonder, like, is it that knowing that they're dead, or is there a choice after death if we just wander Earth and kind of be jealous of the living, or like, what is it?
about that. Yeah, I think, well, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent unless you allow me, but like that's what I
Hmm.
think too. Like sometimes I feel like I hate to think that when I die, I'm gonna get stuck somewhere. I hope that if there is some benevolence, collective, universal entity, it's not just like, you're gonna haunt your office the rest of eternity. And I'm like, no. And I'm like pulling books off shelves and like that just doesn't that sound horrible? I don't want that.
It's like hell on earth again, you know?
No, I don't want that. I'd like
Yeah,
to leave a little piece of myself to be like,
sure.
hey, whoever's in this office, things are going to be weird. Like you might hear stuff or the phone might ring. I'm in my work office right now, but but it's like I don't want to be doomed to stay here forever. I think maybe we can leave a piece of ourselves that just kind of makes a noise or rattles some rattles something in the window, or I don't know, that we can, the right person that needs to believe in the paranormal and have that experience will pick
Right.
up on that. Like maybe your dad wasn't a believer until that moment, and
Sure.
that
Sure.
carried with him his whole life, an experience he can't understand that had
Right.
a synchronicity with a powerful event. It's like you can't deny that.
And the
Like,
fact that it was his cousin too that had was
yes,
witnessing it with him. So
yes,
it's like
and that
even
lends
more proof
credibility.
that he was not going crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So I think that's his, probably his, what was it, his grandpa that just like,
Yeah.
I'm
Mhm.
here, don't
Yeah.
forget about me. And
Exactly.
it was that one moment, or it happened consistently over
It just
months?
happened that one moment. And it seemed like that guy just had to finish that one project. He's like, damn, I died before I finished that fucker. No, I'm coming back.
That's
Even if like soul is gonna suck somewhere else.
wow. I
Yeah,
think that's
really weird.
beautiful. I actually had something similar happen when I actually it was just a couple of years ago. It's
Yeah,
interesting. The more you believe in the phenomenon, the more it happens to you.
sure.
Yeah,
It's
I,
true.
I,
It's true.
you know, it's not you have to see it to believe it. You have to believe it to see it.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's you get it. It's like you open this like, okay, Pandora's box, literally. And I had come back from my best friend from childhood, her funeral. This was an icky day. That's
Mm.
very weird seeing your best friend from childhood in a casket. It's just like this,
Oh
no,
wow.
can't be happening.
Uh,
She called me that night. I was like, what? Like she loved that I'm on this podcast. I thought if anyone is going to tell me that I believe in the paranormal or that it's true, it's going to be her. And sure enough, and she passed away. She's 37. You know, it was just like stupid. But she, my phone rang that night, and I was just in no mood to answer the phone. I'm like,
okay.
who could possibly be calling me? And I heard my phone ring. I saw it on my watch. You know, you can see it ring, and it said unknown caller. And I'm like, spam. I'm gonna ignore it. Later that night, I because I keep my phone in the other room. I'm an elder millennial. I don't need to be on my phone all the time. Like, leave me the hell alone. So I go a few hours later and I grab my phone and it said missed call, but it didn't have a number and there was no way to reach it. And the second I swiped it away, my brain was flooded with these memories of her that
Mm.
I didn't remember, like memories I didn't know I had, kind of thing. It was just like all of a sudden, and I just started crying and laughing because to me, that was her. That was her
Oh.
calling me saying, hey, remember these weird things we did when we were kids? And it was just like playing in my mind, these memories of Stacy. And I just started, I was crying, but I was laughing at the same time.
Mm.
And to me, that's just not coincidence. Like the
No.
timing, that can't be coincidence. And so I'm just thinking,
Wow.
got you. I got
Hmm.
you. So
That's really kind of eerie too at the same time
yeah,
because you know it kind of reminds me of Poltergeist 2 because when she her grandmother dies in the house the little phone call little toy phone you know is ringing and she picks up and it's her grandmother and she's like okay grandma I'll be good and, so yeah like how eerie and similarities and stuff like that. I love the Poltergeist. I don't know if you're a big fan of
it's
Poltergeist.
been a long time, admittedly, but I do vaguely remember that piece too.
Wow, you
Is
might
that
have.
the they're here? Is that
Oh yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Well,
that.
you know what? Well, it has a little dark side to that movie because there's like a curse on that movie when they were making it. You know, there's like all these crazy fires and people are getting sick and all this death. Like the girl got a rare disease and like died, and that Native American that was in the second one died shortly after that film. It was like all this weird, crazy shit.
I knew that. Wow,
Yeah. It's like
weird.
a whole rabbit hole of like,
Now I
yeah,
don't
I
want to
think
watch it again.
that seems like they were kind of like someone opened a portal because someone did their homework too well making that movie. It's like, oh shit.
Do I believe enough to be afraid?
Sure, sure. No, I'm not saying like all ghosts are evil and bad, but I mean, do you believe there are some bad ones out there like demons too? There are satanic motherfuckers out there. So
There are, and I'm glad that you asked this because I don't really know how I feel. Like in this
sure,
moment, I reserve the right to correct myself in the future. But like in this moment, I don't think that there are demons. I
sure,
think that there are bad people with, or just uneducated people that can stir shit up, whether it's on a Ouija board or just negative thoughts. Like I could go on a tangent about thought forms and that kind of stuff too. I haven't researched it enough, but I think that we can create things and stir things up. And I think that some places are haunted and they're evil, but maybe they haven't always been that way, but
sure,
people go in there. I'm thinking like Waverly Sanatorium. Oh, it's a creeper. There's a black figure. There's evil here. And I'm like, why would there be evil here? I just don't inherently believe that. I
sure,
believe that we can have negative intentions and we can create that kind of presence that sticks around, but I don't think it's conscious. I think it's just kind of a cloud of nastiness. I've been
sure,
in places that just feel bleh, like I just feel like something bad happened here. I don't think it's a negative entity. I think it's just a residual of some nastiness that people did in there, whether it was something satanic or not. I just think I'm more powerful than anything that will scare me.
sure,
And I go into a place like that and say, like, if there is something negative here, no, I am stronger than you. And
sure.
knock on everything, I've not brought things home, but I'm careful.
Because yeah, the bringing home things, the tag-alongs. I heard too. If you go to a certain place, these things will can latch onto you and become like a parasite. And you heard about this? I've
Yeah, I don't
actually had.
expect that. I ain't bringing shit home with me. I'm like, no, you're staying here. I do. I will cleanse my house.
I'll
Like,
check
I
myself
don't
before I
mind.
get home.
Yeah, I'll
like a,
believe
like
that
a
there's
tick.
things. Yeah, like there. I like that you use the word parasite because there can be, but I just and like I said, I like to think that I'm stronger than that, and I've worked on myself enough, and I have good intentions that
Sure.
will benevolence will. I don't know what the
Keep them
right
at bay
the
if
bad
they
thing.
were evil. No, again, I was always questioning, like, 'cause I never, again, never experienced anything evil either when it comes to spirituality. And if it was anything ghostly, it was just, a friendly hello, like Casper, and just running away, like, oh my God, what the fuck was that?
I think that we scare ourselves more than things
Sure,
can scare us. And I think if you go to a place like a haunted sanatorium like Waverly, which I've been there, I love it. It's totally haunted. I love it. It's not scary to me though. Like, of course, the darkness and stuff is spooky, but I'm just like, this isn't inherently evil. There's nothing evil here. I
sure,
don't believe that. I don't want to give
sure,
that power.
sure. No, that, again, I have the question because I have no idea. And I love all these theories too. You
Mhm.
ever we had one guy too that's from I don't know if it's Austria. Damn, but he was really into the paranormal and spiritual, but like even the physical craziness that like he'll have like these seances and then like things will start appearing in front of people's faces and shit. Or like he have like diamonds and glass come pouring out of his eyes, and like he have ectoplasma coming pouring out of his mouth. And like he has videos of this shit and like really bizarre stuff. And I was like, holy God. But during the interview, he had such a unique delivery of the speech. And it was just like, I was like, whoa. He's like, is he hypnotized me? But again, it's really cool, but an interesting guy. And I don't know if you ever experienced any of those hardcore people who are doing like or claiming, and again, it's all you take it on your own thought, like what's happening. Basically, he's not trying to shove the idea down your throat. But he's like, here, this is what I'm presenting. Even if you think it's magic or
Right.
it's just of these um spiritual beings helping him present old lost things that was buried with this guy or some shit. I don't know. It's like
About that. I know that there's like psychokinetic energies like that you can manifest those things too. There's a book called Conjuring Up Philip that there
okay.
was an experiment in the 70s. I don't know if you heard about this, where people actually conjured an entity, and these were just normal run-of-the-mill people that
Oh,
there's like one book in existence. It's at the Dane County Library. I'm not making this up. Like there's one copy. So check it out. It's a good book. It's weird because it talks about, and I'm not going to articulate this well, but like it does talk about how people can create this entity that they called Phil. And pretty soon, Phil is moving the tables and making people hallucinate, and they created it. So to
Oh,
me, that's like a thought form. That's not a ghost. That's not an entity of
sure,
someone who died, even though they say it's that. I think it's like a manifestation of a groupthink kind of
sure.
psychokinetic experience, if you will. But I'd be interested. You should read that. I think you would like that book a lot.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Yeah. Again, it's just really interesting of like what he presents.
Yeah.
Like this, like these, like sometimes he levitates these tables too in front of him, and like he's got all these people right in front of him at the same time. So it's, if anything, it's really close up magic he's doing, and like and these videos of ectoplasma coming out of his nose and mouth, and like this, looks like almost like a hand of smoke, and it comes in and out and just twirls and shit. Like, what the fuck is this? Really, it makes you wonder, like, what the hell is this world about? Or if, or if people are really going the lengths just to get the attention.
I like the way you said that. What the hell is this world about? That'd be a good name for a podcast.
What is this world about? What the
That's like
fuck?
the great human equalizer in the paranormal field is us just going, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
That's what my whole presentation about. I'm doing a presentation on stone tape theory in October for Milwaukee.
Well, I was gonna bring that up.
I
So
know we're
can
gonna get
we?
to that, but
So
like
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
thing. Like it's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, look at the science, look at the weird science that exists out there, and think of the paranormal implications of that.
Hmm.
And that's what I like to do is learn science and be like, so how does that work on the opposite end of the spectrum?
Right.
What is
Right.
this world about? Like, what
No,
is this? Like, even Aurora Borealis, like that is just so fucking weird to me. Like, I
it
know it's
is.
science, I know it's not paranormal, but it's beautiful and strange.
Yeah, it's like what
How is that
tectonic
any
plates
different?
rubbing against each other to make that shit in the sky.
I don't
It's
know. I
like,
couldn't tell you. I don't
yeah,
know how that works.
yeah. No,
You
just
know,
again, it's just so crazy. No, and like even with everything with aliens to Bigfoot to like all the cryptics, I feel like there's got to be some kind of connection. It's like the Earth is the Disneyland of the galaxy. It's just like, what the fuck is all this mess? And then we're all here just trying to figure it out and like pointing at each other, saying that we're all crazy and like it's
we're not taught
just
to question it. We're taught to just go,
no.
oh, don't talk about that. That's made up.
Well,
That's not
okay,
real.
and then here's a great example, like Astaland. Like, why didn't high school or middle school we learn about that? It's
Right.
in our backyard. I mean, I never went to like a field trip to that. Like, I think because they didn't have enough answers, or like enough like. And so again, when I was an adult, I was just so blown away that like, okay, we have this um amazing ancient shit here, and then Rock Lake has 10 pyramids on the bottom of that,
Right.
and then yeah, and then
What
like, we
what
have
about this, you know,
we
in
had
history?
yeah, and we have like a little mini Stonehenge on it's called Missouri Hill, off of Missouri Hill Road towards Astaland, like 8 miles away from Astaland.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's these 6 foot tall standing stone with other smaller stones circling around it. And some of it had some carved shit on it. I don't know. I only seen it in pictures, and this guy who wrote 2 books on it named Frank Joseph. If anybody wants to check him out,
I'm
they're
gonna
dope
write that
books.
down right now because I didn't know about that. What's it called? Missouri Stones
It's called Missouri Hill. It's
Hill.
off. That's what the road is called. I think that's why they just got the nickname. And yeah, the guy Frank Joseph is the one who went down there with some others and just did their own independent research on what it is, or it might have some connection to Astaland or the pyramids of Rock Lake. So yeah, I don't know. It's just again, it's just this whole world. It's just lost history, and it seems to pick and choose of what history you want to focus on. It's just kind of like, well, fuck. I don't know. I find ancient culture a lot more interesting, especially when we're like the the cultures that are moving fucking 50-ton boulders with like what healthy slavery whipping on the back to drag those in the first place, and they're mining it from miles away, dragging it through different terrain.
Right.
And it's like and then at the same time they chisel this, they're like, yeah, we did this, but we're working with the gods, and then all the gods they list off, and
I
You
think
know,
that's what I love
and
about,
God and all these gods have vehicles and
yeah,
all,
that's what I love about ancient alien theory. It really resonates with me.
it
I was
does.
watching those when I was watching paranormal stuff, like hand in hand. I was like, this is cool. Like this just makes sense. Like let's just believe the ancients when they said we had help from visitors from the sky. Let's
Yeah, why would you believe them?
just
Exactly.
believe them. Change
Yeah.
love it.
I mean, they do, they say, I mean, I do believe that the humans actually did take their hands and built the pyramids. But again, with the help of the gods,
Yeah,
of like using technology or even vibration of some sort. And
meditation.
yeah, there's a guy, I don't know if you know, Castle Rock, um, out in Florida. I forgot exactly where it's at. It's,
I know what
this
you're talking about.
guy,
I don't remember is the name either.
but it's back in like the 1920s where this
Yeah.
guy wanted to build this gigantic megalithic structure out of coral rock for this woman that he was in love with but never came to be, so like she died with a broken heart. But he at the same time he was building with megalithic rocks, and he's this skinny old ass man with this single pulley but with a mysterious box on top.
He's on top. And he didn't he only work at night?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then he even wrote a book saying that he like discovered the secrets of the Egyptians. So it's like, what? It's, it's like even better. So again, it might have been like I think someone said too. There's something in the basement of this place too that something like electrical current or magnetic
Yeah.
to kind of make the boulders just like lightweight and like like feathers. He's like, look at me do that. I look like Mr. Burns. I'm like, "Mm."
And nobody knows about that. Like they just think, oh, we just built this. But it's like, no, let's look at the pattern, look at the weirdness behind it, look at the secrecy. Like he knew something we don't.
Right.
And I lost my train of thought. Sorry, you were talking about electromagnetism. I feel like there's
Yeah.
that's like the common thread I'm thinking among hauntings and like weirdness and building these towers, these huge structures with UFOs. There's this EMF, this electromagnetic frequency. I don't understand it. I'm not like hardcore scientist, but
Sure.
that seems to be the commonality among all high strangeness is this current that runs through us all day, every day, through the earth, through our brains, through our bodies, but we don't really totally understand its functional properties just yet.
Right. And when it comes to souls and shit too, right? Even like aliens themselves might be very, very curious in the first place to find out if they came to a planet and they saw that maybe we have reincarnation here, not understanding how a soul actually does that. I mean, I from outside of someone coming from a different planet sees that is like, whoa, has to sit there and figure that one out for a minute, right? I don't give a fuck. But anyways, I think a lot of these ETs don't have souls. Where you see that these ETs are very expressionless and like very, robotic in a sense. So there's a theory out there. I think Lindo Moulton Howe was presenting that like from all these whistleblowers from military shit, where like ETs are harvesting our souls because they want to take our, kind of recycle them and use them so they have it for themselves. So like the moon is actually kind of like this beacon. When we die, we kind of our souls get kind of sucked up in this machine out there and they kind of do
That's
the
all new. I
transferation.
love this. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really far out there, but it's the trickle down through the whistleblowers of secret space programs to yeah, it's pretty down the rabbit hole. But again, it makes sense in a sense because the soul thing is absolutely phenomenal outside anybody's world who's coming in here like, oh, what the fuck is this? This seems like magic.
How would you explain that to a different life form? How would you explain that?
Yeah,
I don't think we're a body with a soul. I think we're a soul with a body.
yeah,
I think that this is just our
just
vehicle.
keep going.
And
Yeah,
this next time around, I'll be something else. That's
sure.
what I believe, only because that's what the evidence that I've seen and what I've heard about that just resonates with me. And
There's actually strong evidence of reincarnation.
absolutely.
If you heard of like, well, especially the children, like with World War II, that's why more of the American versions of what you hear of people here in the past lives of actually remembering, oh, I got shot right here and I died over here and all that. Well, there's a famous case in India where this woman, a little girl, like 5 years old, said, told their parents, like, I have another family that I have, and they live in a town nearby, and she names them all in front of
Yeah.
her parents. She's like, and their parents are so blown away, like, okay, no shit, okay, let's see. She just, they went to this town, and she goes up to the house, comes in there, and she's like, yeah, this is my mother-in-law, that's my husband. And she's like, this is a 5-year-old, and she names everybody and just blows everybody away enough where this other
That's
family who
crazy.
she interacted with, like, adopted her, not like stay with it. This was open the door to her, the family again. So knowing that, like, she was once part of their family, the soul, like, just kept on
Yeah.
coming and remembering, obviously, too. It seems like we get knocked out, right away with not
Be
knowing where the
reincarnated into the same family or just like the same town, even just like that.
right.
How do you explain that? Like you cannot explain that with
Unless
conventional.
you can steer your soul in a sense, like you see yourself coming down to earth again. You're trying, medicine, you know what I'm saying? She made it pretty close to where she needed to go. I don't know.
And that's
That's
so
amazing.
fascinating. And I wonder, like culturally, if that happened in America, would people believe her? Because I feel like in India, that culture really embraces reincarnation
They
and they
do. They do.
actively believe in that. So it's
Yeah.
almost like it was perfect that she reincarnated there because people would believe her. And I just wonder if that'd be a
Yeah.
different outcome somewhere else.
And yeah, and India is a treasure trove for ancient astronauts too,
Oh,
so like
absolutely. Oh my
with
God.
even the temples they make them, the stupas, they're made like the vimana of the gods that travel in these vehicles, and then the evidence of war between the gods because they're arguing of what technology we're going to give to the people and whatnot, and a
Yeah.
lot of these gods had blue skin, so it's like even like alien like, so yeah, it's really amazing. But yeah, let's get back to the ghost stuff. But can you tell me more about that? Was the stone tape theory? What
Yes.
is this? What
So
is this? I like to get down deep into this rabbit hole.
I
What is?
love this. I published a paper on this. I love stone tape theory. It just makes so much sense to me. I mean, as much as any of this can make any sense. But so stone tape theory was coined in 1972 by British film director Nigel Neal. He made a movie called The Stone Tape.
Mm.
And it's kind of silly, but it's the 70s. So it's just kind of a different kind of movie. But where his theory is that ghosts are not these conscious kind of trapped souls in a room, but they are, he used the phrase images imprinted on the environment. So there was a ghost in this film of a lady that kept reappearing on the steps of this castle and like screaming, and then she'd disappear. And it was always at the same time every night. And that kind of is the whole basis for hauntings, right? Like they all sound the same. There's disembodied footsteps, or I hear screaming, or I smell rose perfume, and it's always at a certain time of day. There's just this kind of common thread of repetitive ghostly behavior. And so his film argues that it's the space holding an image of the past. It's not a conscious being haunting. It's like a psychic stain on the fabric of a space. Does that make sense?
So it does. Does it like, is it more where exactly where you died that you kind of imprint where that area is? Or is it kind of like you kind of pick and choose the area you want to imprint yourself into this nature and other phenomenon that happens to wherever this person steps through this area?
That's a great question. The evidence, I should say, like paranormal evidence, when you start to look at all these stories and the commonalities, and with the stone tape is saying that the environment records that image of whether it was a violent death or repetitive behavior or just a room that someone might have lived in. That, I mean, think about it. We really bleed into the rooms that we're in. I
Sure.
mean, our
Yeah.
dust is our bodies. Like we're
Yeah.
breathing, we live in these rooms. And you can walk into it, some people can, but they walk into a space and you're like, whoa, something bad happened here. Like you can just tell the air is thick. Someone had an argument, something bad happened. That's kind of the fabric of the stone tape theory. And the reason they use the word tape, not only because the tape recorder was the height of technology in 1972, but to make a tape, It's basically, and I'm going to paraphrase this poorly because I'm not a sound engineer, but
Oh,
that's how cassette tapes work, is that you
yeah,
input
actually, yeah. Yeah.
electromagnetic
Okay.
energy onto a strip of plastic and you coat it with iron oxide powder. That's how a tape works. Well, look at a space that you're in. Let's talk about an old castle. It's made out of stone. It's got iron. It's got limestone. It's got quartz. All of these natural elements, they absorb and they amplify circuitry.
Hmm.
So why, if aren't we made out of circuitry? Aren't we electric?
Yeah.
We made out of sound and light on a DNA level. There is evidence and research to say that we are, and
Yeah.
I can go into that too. If we are in that area and we're viciously killed, let's just say, I mean, doesn't that energy just expand? It's impossible for me to sit still and talk about this because it is a very visceral experience with our
Yeah.
environment.
Please.
How come, if so, think about Gettysburg battlefield, right? I love Gettysburg. That is paranormal stone tape hotspot. 50,000 people died there in 3 days. There's blood.
Wow.
I mean, there is just energy everywhere that got sucked into the environment. And so if the very environment is made out of the same stuff as we are, and the same stuff that we can manipulate and create a technology to record, why can't the environment just act as a primitive tape recorder?
That is
That's
pretty
stone tape.
dope.
This thing that's, you hear footsteps, it's not something physically there. It's like a quantum echo from another time.
Huh.
Not conscious. It's residual.
Wow.
That
Wow. Okay. That's
is deep,
I am
right?
that is no you know what? It is so it's not too deep where like he's like, what the hell? I actually can visualize that
Yeah.
really well, especially the tape. I'm glad he used the word tape in the whole word of theory of what he was trying to explain what the theory is about. Because yeah, again, like the imprint on a tape, if even like recording on the tape, you had the imprint on the whatever strip of it is, and it stays there. So
Mm-hmm.
again, I definitely can uh see that here, like in a again, like you said, if there was a violent death and the energy was even more crazy where it just like imprinted itself onto the walls, like you said, like even if it's stone. Again, I just never realized that. That is an awesome theory.
Isn't it? I love
It is.
theory. It
What
makes
the fuck? I'm surprised we're not talking more about that
well,
because that's almost like you would think like a Native American type you know thought process. Maybe like something happened in a certain area where you know that's why even the Native Americans don't want you stepping on their burial grounds and shit because you know they'll say curse you or some shit, but but no, just that imprint of energy is trapped, not trapped, but like
hidden. And the
it's
more
it's
you
just
think about
there.
it, like places that I've gone and investigated, it's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Because I go to Gettysburg almost once a year. I love Gettysburg. It is a paranormal Disneyland. It is every building in downtown Gettysburg was a field hospital during the war. They have everything is still historically authentic. Like there's still like bullet holes and cannonballs in the
Oh
wall
wow.
in
Oh
restaurants that
cool.
you eat. So you think about the energy that and the hate and the anger that got put into that cannon and it hits that wall. That energy, that intention, I think it still stays there. And
Sure.
that's why you can hear when I was hiking on more than one occasion in one of the areas of Gettysburg battlefield, because you can hike, it's like the whole town. I heard cannons. I smelled gun smoke.
Oh
There's no reason for that to happen.
yeah.
It's still in the environment, whether I think it's just like an energetic bleed through. I'm not scared of it. It's not scary. And people have seen, actually, my dad's former, like a coworker of his, and a bunch of his friends went to Gettysburg and they were touring the battlefield and they saw a whole, like, what's the word, parade of soldiers walking by, like in the distance. And they're like, oh, cool, there's a reenactment going on. And the guys leading the tour group are like, we don't have any tour, like reenactment scheduled today. And this group of people disappeared into the woods. And this
Whoa.
group of people saw it happen.
Okay.
Real. That didn't happen. That was a bleed through. That it's like a glitch in the matrix. That's what
Oh
Stone
sure, 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 sure.
They're unconscious. It's a ghost that disappears. It's not trying to connect with you. It's just in that environment forever. And that's why I like to say it's not conscious. It's not, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the war and I died tragically and I'm stuck here forever. I refuse to believe that.
So you're more, yeah, you're more saying less that it's not really the ghost itself that's trapped there. It's more like you just caught more of the taping of
Yeah.
just what happened at that moment, and some weird phenomenon. It presents itself whenever it gets close or disturbed, or
Yeah. It's almost like a fossil, how like
yes,
certain conditions
that's a great word.
have to
Great
be
word.
met in order for a
Yes.
fossil to occur. That little arthropod or whatever it is, it's not
Yes.
there. It's just its imprint. And the
And I,
right conditions added up for it to present itself. And I think
yes.
there's some truth to that with stone tape theory.
Wow. Okay.
Cool.
That is so fucking cool. I'm like totally looking into that paranormal a little bit more differently now.
You will. Yeah,
That
that's
is totally
love
cool.
stone theory. And
So do
not
you think
to say,
do you
some
think
of them are
stone
conscious. Sorry to interrupt. Like some
that's all right. This I'm sorry.
grandma coming and saying hello at the foot of your bed, like that's not stone tape theory. That's something else going on. That's like a different spike of the paranormal umbrella, is this conscious haunting as opposed to a residual haunting.
Sure. Does stone tape theory bump heads with the paranormal community? Is that has it shown up heavily yet with others,
Well,
or is it
after my
people
presentation,
open-minded? 'Cause it is somewhat of a cesspool in the paranormal, unless you haven't really dove deep into the community of people who get themselves really involved in the real ghost hunting, or they claim to be real ghost hunters and doing stuff
I
like
don't
this.
really get into the drama. I mean,
Okay,
it's all theory. It's all
sure.
paranormal. None of us really know what the hell's going on. We're just categorizing patterns that we see, and we're
Hmm.
basing it off of science that we already know. And there's that quote by Dr. John Mack, who says there's a lot of weird science out there that turns out to be not so weird once it's proven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
True. True. True.
I mean, look at microbiology 100 years ago or something. We didn't
Oh
know
yeah. Right.
germs and viruses.
There's a whole new world under there.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
this is a whole new world, and our brains and our technology and our vernacular is able to catch up with the times. And it's interesting that if stone tape theory wasn't invented or like coined in the 70s when tapes were the height of technology, how would we interpret it now in this kind of digital age? Like,
sure.
could we say this is a digital projection of an occupant's past in this space? You know?
Yeah,
I think it fits with our language, and the more we
sure.
understand it, and the more we're understanding the powers of our DNA and the powers of weird science that's out there, I think
The
there's some
eight
truth to that.
the 8-track theory.
Yeah, it goes there.
Got the 8-track. That's awesome.
Maybe
No, it's really
100 years from now, people will be like, "Oh my God, these people in like the early 2000s thought they were ghosts." Maybe ghosts. Maybe Barry Taft, Dr. Barry Taft, parapsychologist, he called ghosts bioholographic animations.
okay.
Think of that
Wow.
word,
Wow.
bioholographic animation. It's a
That's an
projection. It's like a hologram. It's not real.
and again, we just live in this world that just presents these things like that,
Yeah.
right?
I'm
And
not
like,
saying 100% that this is what I believe in, because I've
no, no,
had plenty of paranormal experiences that are not stone tape theory, that are
sure, sure.
very conscious and very real and are awesome. And I love to be proven wrong. That's what, if I'm going to toot my own horn, prove me wrong. Fine. That's fine. But there's other
Right.
things fit into that category.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about like some of the spots here in Madison. 'Cause I know you do the ghost tours and stuff like that. Maybe we could talk maybe a few of them that like you personally like the most. Maybe the most historic, and maybe have the most cool story behind the hauntings.
Yeah. So I started giving tours with madcityghostwalks.com. Put that in your stuff somewhere. We're a new like, paranormal tourism company. And talk about a side hustle like that's perfect for me is giving ghost tours. And so we follow a path around downtown Madison, and I mean, we're just a fraction of the weirdness that can happen in Madison, Wisconsin. We're around like the Capitol, we start at the Masonic Center and we walk kind of down like Fraternity Row and around
Mm.
Baskin Hill and back up through State Street. And in that chunk alone, I've got about 9 stops where
Wow.
I talk about some weirdness that happened in this building. And I'm not going to just tell it all here because you have
No,
to
no, no.
tour.
Yes. Yes.
But I would say, ooh, if I had a favorite spot on that tour, I have to think because I have to like mentally go through the tour.
You go one by one.
There is a spot, you know, I love Bascom Hill. I think there's something so interesting about Bascom Hill. And here's where I will tell a little bit about the tour. But do
Sure.
you know Bascom Hill, right? And people that are
Tell me more. I don't know personally.
oh,
I should
you've
know.
seen it. It's this big, enormous hill. It's like the icon of UW-Madison. It has
Yeah,
this
yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. I
yeah,
just
and it
don't
has
know.
the Lincoln statue on it.
Yep.
But did
Yep.
you know Bascom Hill was the city's first cemetery in 1837?
I did not know that.
Yep, from
That's interesting.
1837 to 1846, I want to say. It was the city's first cemetery. But, you know, city expansion is like, well, we'd like to put a university building here, so we're just going to have to disinter everybody and bury them somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So how many thousands of people are walking up and down Bascom Hill every day, not knowing that there are still 2 bodies buried on Bascom Hill?
Oh, damn.
I'm not going to tell you where, because you're going to have to come on one of my tours and I will tell you more. But
That
yeah,
is
over
cool.
2 dead dudes because they dug them up and they're like, oops, we forgot 2 bodies and
Oh,
didn't find them for a few years. So just weird. I love that kind of weird shit. Like they don't tell you that when you're like a new university student.
yeah.
Tell you the
That
dumb
is
stuff.
crazy because it actually reminds me again with Poltergeist, where like that neighborhood that the guy was living in was underneath a cemetery that they didn't like move the bodies. And then towards the end, he sees this guy who sold him the house. He's like, you didn't move the bodies. Why?
When you think about it, isn't all of America basically built on someone's cemetery?
Yeah,
It's
right. Oh,
horrible
yeah.
to say. Like, no
Yeah.
wonder there's stuff haunted. There's body parts buried everywhere.
Well, yeah. Well, especially Wisconsin itself. We're a home of the serial killers, and we have haunted houses, not just here in Wisconsin, Madison, but all over Wisconsin. I bet
That's
Milwaukee's got some really hot spots too.
yes. Oh, Pfister Hotel is super haunted. The Ambassador is super haunted.
Ooh,
The Irish Cultural Center that we're having Milwaukee Paracon at in October, haunted. Um, I don't know Milwaukee as well as Madison, but yeah, there's just
sure,
to me they all fit stone tape theory. They're all recurrent images. People are not interacting with these ghosts. They're
sure.
just seeing them disappear in the
Little blurps. Yeah.
yeah, it's a blip in time.
I kind of like that more because I would just hope, yeah, I would hate just to be a ghost. This is kind of this loop of like doing the same thing because I once liked it once before when I was living. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, again, I'm gonna look into stone tape theory, and I'm gonna present that to my colleagues because I think they would just get a kick out of that. Maybe just make a whole episode of that, and
Well,
maybe have you
come
come
back with
back and have you come back so you're the expert, leading expert, only one I know. So,
yeah,
no, I think that needs to be presented more because
yeah.
I feel like there hasn't been too much other because when it comes to UFOs, I feel like there's a shit ton of theories of like where they're coming from, why they're coming here, and from the oceans, the space, interdimensional.
Yeah.
And with ghosts, it seems it's so limited, like what theories there are. And I'm so glad that you brought that one up today. I never heard that one, and it makes more sense than a lot of this other shit that's presented. It's really cool. And I'm not saying like everything is stone tape theory, but again, it's there, and it's like it does present itself, and this weird energy sticks around on a wall like a fossil,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like something that gets activated, even if it's your energy. Who knows? Like we've seen that we kind of put off our own energy too where we're living.
Oh,
Who
absolutely.
knows if it's an emotional uh, key to open these things? Who knows?
Yeah, our hearts emit electromagnetic frequencies. This is actually something the Heart Math Institute figured out,
Oh,
like
wow.
not even that long ago, like maybe 20 years ago, that we emit electromagnetic, our hearts create, it's called toroidal energy. And
Okay.
we emit that frequency and it can be detected by people. whether they're empathic or not. Like we can just pick up on it. Like, you know how sometimes you can just tell that someone's in the room with you or someone's looking at you. There's that theory that maybe it's our hearts.
Mhm.
And that to me, that's another piece of that stone tape theory. It's another brick in the wall, you know, of that
Yeah.
stone tape, is that if our hearts emit that energy and the environment emits that energy, if we die in that environment, where does that energy go? Because
Right.
energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be changed. So maybe it just gets sucked into the wall and just spat out in the future.
That's so cool. And if you think about it too, if this has been around since the dawn of time of this, I could see where an ET race can definitely find this very interesting and maybe attractive. And it's like a living story is walking through, and they can even read it them better than we can read it. You know what I'm saying? Like being
Mhm.
this fossil on these walls and energy is like, oh, this shit here happened. Oh, damn, over here, this shit happened. Like, you know, wow, you know, like it makes you wonder why they are coming here. What are agendas? This could be the stone tape theory.
I
Huh.
don't, I have my own theories on aliens and I don't know enough about it. So maybe you can correct me or add to
Sure.
my theory. But how you were talking about aliens are so stoic and they're robotic in a lot of ways.
Sure.
I wonder if maybe they're just droids, like, because
Sure.
if
Yeah.
we're going to send out, we want to explore Mars. We're not going to send a person out there. We're going to send like a little AI robot type of droid thing. We already
Yeah.
have.
You're right. You're right. You're
And if I
exactly
live on
right.
that planet, I don't know what that is. I'm going to interpret it and say it's
Yeah.
something intelligent when maybe it's not. Maybe they're just little robots. Maybe the
Yeah.
gray robots.
You
I
know
don't
what?
know.
And I think too that there are human ETs that have been interacting with us here too at the same time. They have more expression. Those are the more the benevolent
Yeah.
ETs with the blonde hair, blue eyes, with the tight blue jumpsuits usually, or the play Aaron and but yeah, anyways, um yeah, this makes you think um what is all it about? Like do they have questions why they're here in the first place of what we're doing or how we are or like again the stone tape theory just kind of like started sticking with me hard now.
Good.
And so
I
glad you
think
really explained it that way to me, the stone fossil thing, because it's kind of like how we keep records on our cave walls and stuff like that. It's kind of like I could see an ET coming into an area and knowing like just finding out the history just standing there, you know.
right. And
Wow.
just touching that wall. Like I'm weird. I love to touch walls. I like to touch haunted things. There's
Sure.
so many trees in Gettysburg that are witness trees, which means they were there. They were there 240 years ago when the
Wow.
battle happened. And they're marked with nails. So you
Oh,
know that that's a witness tree. And I know where several of them are. I just like to touch them because I'm like, God, if this,
sure.
they always say if walls could talk. Well, they do. You
Yeah,
know, we just have to understand their language and we're just starting to get there. And I love to touch those trees and touch those walls. It's just like, how many other people took their last breath right here? Like to
sure.
me, it's spooky and it's beautiful and it's compelling.
I was gonna say too, I've heard with other women investigators in the paranormal when they go to areas where like women were not supposed to be, like some of the warships, you know, some of the old warships where they get more of a hit, you know, where these you say, hey, you're not supposed to be here, hey, get out of here, you know.
Yeah.
You're kind of more of a or maybe a nudge,
Yeah.
not
You
to
have to
be
hair
there.
pull.
Yeah,
I got my hair pulled. I spent the night
yeah,
at
yeah,
the old,
yeah,
oh, I'm going
exactly.
to promote this place. It's the old Baraboo Inn. Right this
Okay.
down. Old Baraboo Inn in Baraboo, Wisconsin. Used to be an old cowboy bar and brothel. It's been around for 200 years.
Oh
And
wow.
on I think it was like my 38th birthday, I'm like, I'm going to go spend the night in an old abandoned haunted brothel by myself for my birthday. Yay. And
Problem.
I did that and I felt like my hair pulled a little bit. But think about it, women in that space were probably getting their hair pulled,
Sure.
and again, I don't think it's conscious. I don't think it's something saying, ooh, KJ's spending the night here. I don't think it's that. I think that's just what my energy, I'm a female energy in a space where females were
Mistreated maybe.
charged, I guess we should say.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm just picking up on a memory of someone else in that space. And I'm
sure.
not scared of it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be scared of a fossil either. And again, I think that'd be a better way to
It
coming.
startles me. I'm startled. I'm
Sure.
startled when I heard something walking up the steps and then didn't continue. I'm like, okay, that was weird. And I just go right back to bed. Like I'm startled, but I'm not scared of it. There's a difference.
Yes.
There's a
Okay.
difference.
That is amazing.
I can talk to you for hours. This is fun.
Well, this is great. Yeah, we can. Well, here we go. No, I was gonna say, my favorite spot in Madison that's haunted is the Ohio off
Yes,
of
I was
Atwood.
going to talk about that. I'm glad you brought
Well, we can talk about it.
talk
Well,
about
what
it.
I tell you what I know about it, and then maybe you can
You
tell
are
me more. Okay.
talking too much.
So
You go.
I think this building has been around since like the 1920s or something, right?
I think
Like
it
it's
was even before that. I want to say
even
like
before that. Sure.
yeah, still.
Yeah, this place had like bizarre fires that happened. There's weird suicides, like suicides, not just one.
Yeah.
And then I think then the place became haunted where when there was a bar, there still is a bar. Bottles would be tossed off the shelves and stools would be flipped and shit, and like other weird physical things happen there. I heard there's even mainstream ghost hunters that did TV shows there. um yeah, I should look up exactly who did that. And yeah,
It's
but
just
yeah, I
something
find it very interesting that some mainstream ghost hunters did some research there.
that's so cool. Yeah, I think it used to be a bank at first, and
Yeah.
then I'm gonna credit Lisa Van Buskirk for telling me this information. We had lunch there. She's also a tour guide through a different tour guide company, a paranormal tour guide in town. So we're kind of like friendly competition. But she had told me about that place. It used to be a bank, and then it got turned into a bar. And there used to be a factory. I think it was called the Kip Foundry down the street, and that's where people would go after their shift.
Uh-huh.
And their overnight shift would end at like 10 a.m. or something like that. So they would come in and have their drink at the bar at 10 a.m. And there have been employees or people that live in that apartment above the Ohio Tavern that sometimes hear the front door opening and footsteps walking up to the bar. And they're like, oh, hey, we're not open yet. Oh, there's nobody here. But they would
Oh,
do that. Stone Tate theory. Like it was a pattern. It was an emotional pattern that people used to do. They would go in there, go up to the bar, have a drink. And that's, to me, that makes sense that cabinets open, that chairs swivel, that chairs move. Is that it's just a pattern that people had for 100 years.
wow. Yeah, true.
And women get their hair pulled on the steps. Blondes get their hair pulled. I didn't. I'm more of a strawberry blonde, so I didn't get
Yeah,
my pulled.
strawberry.
But that's visual. It's not going to connect with you. It's just going to happen when it happens. It's not
Sure.
like ghosts don't play parlor tricks. So you don't just come in and be like, okay, ghosts, do your thing. Like it's not, it doesn't work that way. Contrary to what some ghost TV shows might show you.
Yeah, right.
Good editing. Sorry.
No, you can be.
I watch that shit all day. I love it.
No, it's so cool. Yeah, no, that's um amazing. That place has a long history of weird shit happening there. And
Good
there
taco.
yeah, as I said, their tacos are really good there. Well, maybe you and me should go there for tacos one of these nights.
Hell
Maybe
yeah.
maybe get a hit, get your hair pulled.
Would love that. Yeah, do it. I've had my like my jacket tugged on in a place, but
Oh,
like I said, it startles me, but it doesn't scare me because you just
sure.
think something normal is happening, and then you look down and there's nobody there, and you're like, that was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah,
Right.
and a lot of places like this stuff's happened to me like that, or like the lights turn on and off, and I'm just like, yeah, like what's with me? I love this kind of stuff.
Hey, do you know more about this? Was it uh, that place that outside of Middleton, that little is it the Indian Burial Ground with the UFO sighting?
Oh, Frederick Hill.
Yeah, do you know much more about that?
You should
I don't
talk to
know.
Tim about that. I
I
know a
know.
little bit, but not enough to probably eloquently or accurately explain it. I
Well,
know that
Tim is not here, so it's you I got.
you have to interview him. But I don't want to say it's all burial. I thought there was a burial on top, but don't quote me on that. Maybe it's just
Sure.
in the surrounding area, but you can go hike there. And then when the sun goes down, I mean they're open to like 10 p.m. So
Oh,
it's
cool.
dark at like 4:30.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
cool place to hike because Like you're just enough removed from the town that you don't get light pollution, and you can really do some great stargazing there. So we'll have to go there sometime.
Yeah, I like to. I've never been. And the fact that it's so damn close, I go there. I go there all the time. I would go there all the time
Yeah,
if I knew more
that's
about it.
good recall.
That is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've only been to Dundee Mountain. You know where that is? And right by Long Lake. It's like about like an hour and 45 minutes northeast. And it's awesome. It's like it's what Dundee has its yearly UFO parades because that's one town that has the crazy UFO sightings.
I'm writing this down.
Sure.
Dundee,
Dundee, Dundee.
like Crocodile Dundee.
Like yeah, Crocodile Dundee. But this place is awesome. It's got a campsite. Actually, I want to go camping there. They have a campsite right below this mountain. It's not really a mountain, it's a gigantic hill, but it's got this trail that goes all the way up to it. And it's kind of a unique hill because how it was made, because Wisconsin was a glacier at one time. And I think during the melting of the glacier underneath the ice, there was a running river, and these gigantic boulders were just getting stacked on top of each other, rolling down this river, and that's how it just formed. So I was, it has a little cool little plaques everywhere, just how this thing was made and formed. But again, there's these theories too that the locals think that might have been a pyramid, underground pyramid underneath um, this gigantic hill. Who knows? But the Native Americans they called this hill Spirit Hill because there was so much weird activity happening over this hill. Anyways, but yeah, in modern times now, there's a lot of UFO sightings, like UFOs hovering over the hill or just being seen flown right over it. And yeah, I'd like to go camping there, maybe catch something if on camera if if I was lucky enough.
Do you have like a night
Um,
camera or a FLIR camera or anything
I
like crazy?
don't. I just have the old iPhone there. I still caught a UFO and a shot in the dark.
You
Yeah,
did. You weren't even trying. See,
I
that's
didn't try.
these opportunities pop up when you're not even trying. And I don't want to go on a too much of a tangent, but when you said that this area was formed by rocks and boulders and water, there's another example.
Mm.
It's like being a teacher here. Like there's another example of stone tape theory. There's a
Oh,
systematic water tape theory, by the way, that and this is scientifically proven. There are areas of the earth that have where it's the geology that creates a phenomenon. And I'm not saying that these UFOs are just from that, but there's a correlation and there's something interesting about that. When these currents in the ground of electromagnetic energy intersect with bodies of water, it's called a
mm.
phenomenon called a conductivity discontinuity. Yes, say
Oh,
that 3 times fast. And that has been known to create weird electronic, I'm pointing at my aurora borealis, like
yeah.
that creates orbs of light. It creates weird aerial phenomena.
Whoa,
So it might not, it might just be weird science. It might just be something strange is happening in the atmosphere because of the geology.
sure.
And that's explained in Hugh Newman's book called Earth Grids. If you ever want to read it, I own it. It's about ley lines and it's about,
Yeah, ley lines. Yeah,
and you've probably heard of this too, like a lot
yeah.
of Native American or indigenous people's ritualistic sites and burial sites seem to be on these ley lines. And those ley
Yes.
lines are those areas of conductivity discontinuity. And
Oh,
I think that's interesting that Dundee kind of has that same phenomenon. And I would wonder if the
and
geology,
and I bet it might be laying on a ley line too.
it
I
might
wouldn't
not
be
have,
shocked.
I mean, it's awesome and weird, but it might not be paranormal or supernatural, because I think there's a difference between those two words. I feel like paranormal means we're never going to understand it, but supernatural means we might be able to understand it someday.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You think of a lot of things that used to be weird and strange, and now we understand what they are. But that just goes back to weird science waiting to be
Yes.
proven. And that's why I just think more people need to study this stuff. More people need to, they don't have to be in white lab coats to study this. You can just go hiking in that mountain. You can just spend the night. We have our own technology. We can start the discussion and do what we're doing and network. I'm getting so excited. Gosh,
Yeah, I actually here. Hold on a second.
I'm geeking out about this because this is
Um,
What are you looking for?
I was just gonna post some pictures of this is Dundee Mountain here from the distance, but it's got that mountain look. And
That
it's
is
even
interesting.
from even further. That one that looks pretty gnarly. That's like a fucking gigantic pyramid.
It's very sweet. Yeah, that's in Wisconsin.
That's in Wisconsin. That's Dundee Mountain, baby.
I need to just stay local instead of going to Gettysburg all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
right. No, seriously. And a nice in the bottom of the base of this mountain has this beautiful campgrounds. I was like, dude, I'm gonna fucking camp here. Who doesn't? Yeah, this is the shit. And there's a guy who did a film, independent film. It's actually kind of a well, he kind of puts a little comedy spin on it, but just the kind of history of here. Um,
no, that's cool.
yeah, it's pretty sweet.
I like the imagery.
Yeah, that cool. It's got that like kind of 70s look.
Yeah.
And this is the one of the monoliths at Missouri Hill that I was talking about earlier.
What the hell is that thing?
It's a 6 foot megalith, or monolith, or what the hell it's called.
That is weird.
And then this is Black River Falls pyramid that's on someone's private property. I have some modern day photographs of it too that someone snuck on their property to take pictures of this thing, but it has like carvings from Native Americans all over this goddamn thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to find out who owns that property and get permission.
We did some research on this property, and the guy lives in Florida, and this property is not like occupied by anybody. I don't feel like he has people like security comes, like it's government related, but it's very mysterious.
Hmm.
I can show you more stuff about it. And we have some of the cave drawings. We have up north too. We have these like bulbous suited astronaut like
Yeah, I was gonna say that
carvings.
looks like a helmet. Like that looks like antennas or something.
And I actually took this photograph at the is it Wichita? I might be saying it wrong. It's this word, right? This park. Have you been there?
No.
Oh, you should go here. This place is
I
gnarly.
have,
Is this
I'm taking so many
it's got
notes.
this gigantic rock that's like think how old this thing is.
500. Was that 500 million?
Yeah. So there's like this one sitting rock that's huge, and then Native Americans have been carving into it, and they've been carving into the birdmen. So it's like these human like birdmen that's hand painted by the Native Americans. So again, the birdmen is also seen in um, Easter Island. There's another birdman.
Yeah,
Um,
flying, flying
yeah,
technology could
but
be.
again, they didn't have the vocabulary to describe what they were seeing or witnessing, so they would just throw a bird head on a man's figure. Again, really cool here in Wisconsin. So yeah, you should check out this park this summer.
Where is that? Like where in the state?
Not far. It's probably about an hour and a half. I think it's north.
I gotta get out of Dane County more.
Yeah,
God.
what the hell? What are you doing, girl?
People
And
want
that
to podcasts and shit. Yet,
but when you were talking about the ley lines, I was thinking even like the big three important mesas out in is it New Mexico with the Hopi Indians.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Um but yeah, this is my personal collection of the Kachina dolls from the
No way.
1920s. Yeah, no, sorry, 1930s to no, I'm sorry, 1940s to the 50s. These are
Beautiful.
the oldest ones are in the back, and the 1940s
You
one.
have these in your house?
I have them right, yeah, right over here.
Because I like, I'm
You
not
should
trying.
come to my house. My room is like a personal little museum. I still have
Oh,
stuff that I can't like really
God.
bring to like conventions that you want me
I
we have.
love collecting haunted objects. Like I love haunted objects. I think that's fascinating. And I wonder sometimes because I feel like stone tape theory can imprint itself on objects too,
Oh,
like
sure.
dolls or dolls like these. These are very ritualistic. These are very
They are.
artistic. These were meant to, these
And they're
were meant,
very astronaut looking. That's
and
what
I
I love
just
about them.
wonder, do you ever hear things or see things or have little balls of light come out of them or anything?
Oh no, I haven't.
You don't want to know.
I'm not again. I spent a pretty penny to get these. I got them in auctions too.
They're gorgeous.
Especially this big guy here in the back. He kind of looks like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. But again, the astronaut like bulbous suits and the fact that these were made to give to the children. So until one, because they know that these gods told them that they were coming back. So they were making these dolls for their children to pass on to their kids and whatnot. This is and keep telling the story. So when they do come back, the children won't be as fucking terrified. Some of these things are kind of terrifying. Like, oh, we've seen this guy. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm here to eat your ass.
Well, yeah, I would be a little terrified of that.
Yeah, but
I like
no,
the
again,
lower right.
which one?
Lower right that has like the yellow, almost like butterfly ears. Lower right.
Oh, it's, yeah, the owl.
That's
Yeah,
my man. I like him.
he's cute.
He's a cutie.
But again, this very astronaut robotic
Oh,
looking.
wow. Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
and they didn't have the language in that culture to explain something that's mechanical,
exactly.
robotic like we do, because they didn't have that technology. And
Right.
that's what's neat. When people have these spiritual experiences or alien encounters, they tend to project their own culture onto them. And
Right.
so had I seen what they saw, I would create a different kind of doll, just based on what I know. And I think it's beautiful how every culture has their own similar creation and mystical kind of stories, but they have their own aesthetic that they put on the physical representation of it.
Yes. No, again, it's just very mysterious how it even came about, and it's again stuck with the culture. Again, in my eyes, a cargo cult. That started from the way past, and it just continued on. And if you know if the cargo cults are, I'll explain it really quick. So during World War II, when we were fighting the Japanese in the Pacific Islands, we had some of those islands that were inhabited by indigenous people that never seen an airplane before, and we started making bases on these on these islands, and the people were hiding in the bush, watching from a distance, just being amazed, and thought there was godlike. So when the Americans left, the indigenous made runways out of the jungle, making life-size bamboo fetishes of airplanes, and they would write USA on the chest and had bamboo rifles and march back and forth to entice other airplanes that were flying by at the time to land on their spaceports. Or I'm sorry, their landing airplane landing ports. But yeah, again, this like not understanding the technology and the what all goes into an airplane to make it fly. They just think it's magic, or they think it's the gods, and their ancestors bringing them goods.
Mhm.
And I just like, again, you just look from even further back, like ancient India, the flying Vimana. These people, after these flying Vimana left, they built it out of their all those temples that you see in India are the shapes of flying vehicles that the gods were using. So it's just like
That's not a
the
coincidence.
story continues.
I believe all of that. I love that. I would love to talk ancient alien theory with you sometime too.
Oh, girl, we can do it. Well,
Oh,
I'll definitely have you back. No, this is great. I feel so comfortable talking with you. It's you definitely have to come back here and uh guest co-host with me, and join us with big group chats when we talk about other paranormal stuff and just linking other people together. Um, but yeah, this is so cool. This is so exciting. There's just so much, isn't there? There's just this endless. And Wisconsin itself just has a treasure trove of, again, aliens, UFOs, ghosts, sorry, and Bigfoot and dogmen. Yeah, just fucking endless. Endless. So cool.
you're Wisconsin.
We're
And I know
Wisconsin.
you.
Well, cool. Well, hey, we'll wrap it up here right now. But is there any websites or any information where people can contact you for the future ghost
Oh,
tours?
I'm well, I only have my Instagram page if you
Sure.
want to share that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's where I put some of my artwork and my photography and just weirdness. That's just me. I'm not on Facebook or any of the other
Facebook.
social mediums. Instagram, one addiction's enough. But I
Yep.
also have, I just want to encourage you, and I can give you a link and everything, but I want to encourage people to check out Mad City Ghost Walks. madcityghostwalks.com. I'm one of the two tour guides right now. We do historical tours and we do paranormal tours, and I'm the one that does those. And spooky season's coming up. I mean, spooky season's like 24/7, 365 for me, but for the rest of the world, we're going to be doing a lot of tours in September and October, and come out and see what makes Madison cool and spooky. And it's fun for me. I enjoy it. It's not a job. It's just I'm
Yes.
fun telling stories, and you get some good exercise.
Well, me and my mother are gonna come and take a ghost tour with you.
Better.
And I had a friend already go on with you, and she had a blast. So I
What?
can vouch for this girl right here. She is dope and she knows her shit, and she's just doing it for the love and the fun for it. And she'll make sure that you have a good time while you're with her. So please follow her, and you'll catch her more often on my channel because we click really well. I think this interview showed her true colors of how cool she is and how passionate she is. And yeah, we have this like awesome back and forth. Like,
Yes. And connected, and you're part of this crazy local weird Wisconsin world. And
yes. And yes, me and KJ will be doing more cryptic and ghost and UFO gatherings here in Madison, and just follow us for updates on those upcoming ones, because it seems like we're going to be doing it once a month. It seems like
so
that's our goal is. So all right, well, hey, you stick with me for 2 more minutes. All right.
thank you.